Major Amber Heard stan Camilla has declared that she is an extremely young girl. Let's do some linguistic analysis and using her own words, figure out, could she be telling the truth or could she be lying? Hey up everyone, it's me, Stef The Alter Nerd, your nerdy alternative, and welcome to another dose of the Daily Nerd, where I break down the news and pop culture stories of the day that's pretty much caught me eye. And oh my goodness, Kamilla, Amber Heard stan extraordinaire on Twitter, has announced that she is an extremely young girl. However, when we use the power of linguistic analysis, is she telling the truth or could she be lying? Well, I'm going to break it all down for you in a moment. Before I do so, though, a little bit of housekeeping. Firstly, YouTube human reviewer, I see you lurking. I'm not going to say any trigger words or anything that's going to offend your ear holes. And for everyone else awesome enough to have clicked on this video, hi, welcome, how are you doing? If you want more of this and love news and pop culture stories on the daily served with a little bit of sass and gobbiness, which is basically this, right? Do make sure you click on that subscribe button, like, share, comment, all of that good stuff. And let's jump into this, shall we? So first and foremost, I am not doxing anyone. Not happening, okay? I am just using what Camilla has said in regards to her publicly saying that she is an extremely young girl. As @MegaDepFan quite clearly states and actually puts it very succinctly, if you cannot understand the difference between pledge and donated, it'll be difficult to understand that this video isn't about the doxing. So let's get that out of the way first and foremost. Also, as well, in regards to me analysing Camilla's words when I can get my teeth in, right? What I will be analysing is 3 exchanges that she had with Andy over on Twitter. Now, bear in mind, I am privy to these exchanges. The reason being is because I'm an executive producer and co-host over on his channel, Popcorn Planet. And the only bits that I will be showing you guys is literally her describing herself seemingly as a young girl. So not sharing anything else that isn't quote-unquote public knowledge out there. So let's get that also out of the way as well in terms of a disclaimer situation. Now, who is Camilla? For all those that are the uninitiated, she's deactivated a Twitter account yet again, but in her Twitter bio, she says that she is a survivor of IPV, talks about this and nastiness in relationships, describes her pronouns as she, her, and states that her block list is extensive. Okay, then. Now, why are we talking about her? One of the many reasons is because Camilla's Twitter has been used extensively for pro-Amber Heard reports and articles out there in mainstream media. One person of which, of note, is Kat Tenbarge, who is a journalist over on NBC News and a contributor. She literally says here, 2 of the people who have had the most impact are Seacross and Camilla. Both create threads that distill important info from court documents and testimony for social media, which is how the pro-Depp creators amassed widespread support for him in the first place. So, you know, mainstream media relied pretty heavily on Camilla. But is she a reliable source? This is the question, right? Well, let's get to what Camilla said publicly in terms of describing herself. So she literally says here, I'm an extremely young girl, and this is not only creepy, but incredibly unhinged to hire a private investigator to look into a Twitter account. Blah, 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 blah. The main bit that we're looking at here is her turning round and saying, I am an extremely young girl. Now, she says, I've picked out 3 things that she says to Andy over on Twitter during their discussions. First one, I'm a minor. Second one, you're targeting a young girl on Twitter. And the third thing that I picked out that she said, in terms of describing herself, is many people my age have Stan accounts. Now, before I do a deep dive on those 3 statements that she made to Andy, one thing that I need to make you aware of is something that's called distancing language. Now, what is that? So, the use of distancing language is primarily subconscious as a means to disengage oneself from acts or ideas that conflict with their personal values, beliefs, ideals, and is often used to identify if a person is lying. Now, it can be used essentially to separate the author of the statement away from an idea, a topic, or even in this case that we're going to be discussing regarding Camilla, her actual identity, right? Now, the purpose of using this kind of language, distancing language, it's either mainly to either self-deceive or deceive others. And again, picking this out, it can be used to identify if potentially the author of said statement is lying or not. So, let's get to the first statement. I'm a minor. So, I've got notes literally in front of me to the side. So, if you see me going to one side at one point, that's basically where I'm looking, okay? So, have you ever heard any teenager or child, for that regard, describe themselves as a minor? It's a very clinical, police procedural terminology. Think a minor, for me, I think police show, cop show, you know, that kind of thing, right? Now, by using the word minor, think about it. She's actually avoiding saying that she is a little girl. I.e., she could have just turned around and says, dude, I'm a little girl. I'm a young girl. What are you doing? Right? She doesn't know. Again, I repeat, she says, I'm a minor. As such, by using the term minor in this sentence, it's indicating that she's using distancing language because she's not fully attributing herself to calling herself an extremely young girl. Okay, so let's get to statement number 2. You're targeting a young girl on Twitter. Okay, so even though here, in this respect, she uses the term young girl, it's the context of how she's using this term that is now suspect in this particular sentence. Now, why am I saying this? It's because she's talking about herself in the third person. When you talk about yourself in the third person, unless you're royalty, to me, that's indicating distancing language, right? If she's a child and she's talking about herself, right, then I would have expected her to naturally say something along the lines of, I'm a 12-year-old girl that you're targeting on Twitter. I'm an 11-year-old girl that you're targeting on Twitter. I'm a 10-year-old girl that you're targeting on Twitter. I'm a 14-year-old girl that you're targeting on Twitter, right? So that transforms the statement where if she said it like that, she'd actually then be speaking in the first person. And by doing that, she would then own the statement as her being a little girl. But she doesn't. Highly suspect, right? And then the third statement. Many people my age have Stan accounts. Okay. So the distancing language here is the use of the word people. She's distancing herself in this regard from the truth of whether she is actually a child or not by using this umbrella term of people. Because people, it's very plural, right? Could mean anything. It could mean man, woman, child, toddler, baby. Could mean anything, right? If she was a girl, then naturally, to my mind, she would have said something along the lines of, do you know what? Many girls my age have Stan accounts. She doesn't. She says many people my age have Stan accounts. And so when you look at all of those three statements and you look at the use of the language that she was using to describe herself as apparently this extremely young girl, when you look at the terminology that she uses and the context of how she uses it, whether she speaks in the first person or not, highly suspect that, in my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, all three statements do show distancing language. And remember, what is the definition of distancing language? It's to disengage oneself from acts or ideas that conflict with their personal values, beliefs, and ideals, and is often used to identify if a person is lying, or even in this case, their own identity of who they are. Now, am I saying that Camilla is lying when she says that she's an extremely young girl? No, I'm not making that statement outright. What I am saying, though, is that the language that she used with those three statements alone that I picked out, to me, indicates that there may be deception at her end when she describes herself as a young little girl. It doesn't look good. It looks highly suspect, in my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever. With that being said, enough with my gob. It's time for your gobs. Comment down below. What do you think to what I've just explained to you all there? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Any and all comments, of course, are welcome. And if you love this video and want more, and absolutely appreciate news and pop culture stories on the daily, served with a little bit of sass and gobbiness, which is basically this, right? Do make sure you click on that subscribe button, like, share, comment, all of that good stuff. And until the next time, you guys, laters.